you're sitting at home and not listening to your radio or doing your feet, then you must be watching Tell It Like It Is, UPTV Channel 6, 8 p.m. Big Joe sitting here with Big Wayne and the one, the only. You ain't got to scream, you ain't got to holler. He's back from the depths of hell.
Johnny Dollar. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Dollar, nice to see you, man.
Good to see you,
You know,
bro.
I'm back for a short time. You know, do what I do, say what I got to say, and tell like it is. That's what I'm doing.
You doing a Clint Eastwood movie or something, man? You've been working on that voice.
And you know, I do Clint, I do John Wayne, I do a little Shaft. You know, I can probably impersonate a lot of people.
Let me hear Shaq. Can I hear Shaq? Get that.
Well, this is a rated Jesus family show. You know, you really can't do Shaft on a show like this.
No, I said
it's a
Shaq.
You know.
Oh, Shaq.
Diesel.
Oh, well, I can't do Shaq. I said Shaft.
Oh, you do Shaq, but you can't do
Yeah.
Shaq.
Yeah, I can do a Shaq. I was looking for you, girl. Where you at? I told you, I'm coming to get you. I know people.
He breathed
In the
hard.
bushes, breathing hard.
Yeah, you know, man,
That's wrong.
that's wrong that she took my money like that, you know. Hey, bro.
But
It's Diesel for you.
Diesel, we got a new Stat Girl 2.8. She had to roll. She had some other things she got to do. So
Stat girl, what's happening?
we got Rambro Girl.
What's happening?
What's going on? I salute
Give her
you,
a salute.
John McCain, and all the veterans.
McCain.
What? Let me do my McCain. Fight. I bet she couldn't tie his shoes. She said, dude, his arms last night, man. Getting them out. Come on, John.
Looked like he had the Botox working too on that.
Is that what it
face,
was?
man.
Face was tight?
Yeah.
I thought somebody put their foot in his back and just pull. Hold on to his
Hey,
head.
man, watch
paper-
yourself. Y'all might be getting out of pocket a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Talk about them the same.
His face still tight if he.
There you go. It ain't got nothing to do with his political affiliation. We
His
talking
face still
about
tight.
a tight 72-year-old man.
Well, you know, when you have money, you can do them things. You know?
Yeah, man, you're right. Talking about money, talking about football, fighting the line out. Now, last week, season open. Illinois went down to St. Louis. Hopes high. 2008 season kicks off. And they go down and take on the 6th-ranked Missouri Tigers. And it was a high-scoring affair. They put up more points in this game than any game in Illinois history. 52-42. Just the orange and blue came out on the short end of the stick. I'm going to turn to Big Wayne first and just ask him to give me a quick recap. Wayne, what do you think? The pros, cons, what happened? What didn't happen?
Man, that game boils down to tackling, and mold tackling. Well, the lack of tackling.
Tackle him, dummy.
The lack of tackling. I mean, if they make some tackles in that game, it's a totally different game. Mm-hmm. That's it. None more, none less. If they tackle the football, they win the game.
Yeah. Fundamental, man.
They win the game.
Just basic football. You know, what he said is what he said. You know, you got to tackle. You got to hit somebody. You know, I believe a lot of these college players, you know, and you know, I'm guilty of this too. You watch that next level, which is the NFL. And if you watch an NFL game, a lot of these cats, they tackle with their shoulder. They don't wrap. And a lot of these cats just want to drive through a person.
They want to get the
instead of
ESPN,
wrapping
they
a
want to get the
person
Sports
and
Center
grabbing them. And you know, and at this level, you got to grab somebody to get to that next level. And if you keep missing tackles like this,
Right.
you know, as much as Illinois missed tackles, some of the cats may not get to that next level if they miss tackles like that, man. You got to wrap them up, man, because these young brothers are strong, and just like what you call said, when you got athleticism, you know, when it comes down to one-on-one, you can go get shut.
Yeah. So you guys don't think that it had nothing to do with Missouri coming in? They had an excellent season last year. They only lost twice. Both games they lost last year with Oklahoma. They come back with 9-10 starters on defense. They come back with Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback.
Oh, they lost to a good
Macklin.
team.
So, you know.
They lost to a very good team, but at the same time, Illinois put themselves in the position to win the game if they make the tackle.
But then it goes back to athleticism.
Right.
You know, when you playing against a team that got athletes, man, and when it comes down to, it's just like a boxing match. When you come head up with somebody and you box, you better know what you're doing. You better put your guard up. Just like football, when you ready to come at somebody, you run head up at somebody, wrap them. You just can't just put your head down and try to, you know, go through them. You got to wrap.
With that being said, you know, like you said, Missouri's a good team, but I think Illinois was put in the position to make the plays. Mm-hmm. They just didn't step up and make the tackle.
Kickoff return that shouldn't have happened.
Shouldn't have
You
happened.
know?
I mean, I know he's
on,
probably
man.
the top returner in the country. But at the same time, you talking about taking your program to the next level. You got to make them tackles, man, for real.
Yeah.
So more tackling than execution by Missouri to lead to a 52-42 score. Now, one of the questions I asked last week, we talked about strengths and weaknesses. And Missouri's strength, as we talked about, was their offense.
Yeah.
With Macklin and the other receivers that they have, Chase Daniels, offensive line. The way they executed their offense, it was one of the things I equated to was just like if you were watching a basketball game and a team was running a good screen and roll where you just couldn't defend the screen and roll. For some reason, it seemed like, especially in the first half, when Chase Daniels had the ball, before Illinois knew who had the ball, either the running back or the receiver was at least 4 to 5 yards down the field, and instead of reacting and being aggressive, we were in a chase mode.
Well, it's
Do
just
you
like-
think it was the execution of
But it's just like Michael Jordan playing the rest of the NBA league, man. When Michael Jordan gets the ball, you got the defensive player playing back instead of being aggressive. Illinois was, the defense was playing back as far as what I was seeing. I may be wrong, but they were playing back instead of being aggressive with these cats. And then Chase Daniels, he drops back. He can either hit a little 10-yard, out route or a comeback route or whatever the case, or else he scrambles.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with, maybe an excuse, but a lot of that has to do with 2 new safeties and 2 new linebackers, in your pass coverage. If you're not throwing in that fire before a team like Missouri, Missouri's not the team to be wondering if you can pass cover the ball. So maybe with a little bit more experience, they come up, play them again, maybe they have a better chance,
Now, the difference I saw in the game, based on Illinois' defense and Missouri's defense, is that it appeared to me that every time Illinois had the ball, Missouri was sending at least one extra defender on the blitz, and they always was coming off the corner. And the reason why I believe they did that is they wanted to disrupt Illinois' timing so that Juice wouldn't have an opportunity to go through his progression in terms of making his reads. On the flip side, I didn't see Illinois blitz that much the entire game when they were playing Missouri, which gave Chase Daniels an opportunity to decide whether he was going to lead the ball in the belly of the running back or if he was going to pull it out and then throw the ball to his receivers. I don't know if you guys saw anything different in terms, but it just appeared
It seemed like they was kind of
Missouri
scared to
aggressive.
blitz.
Right,
Yeah.
it was like Illinois was reacting to everything.
But that goes back to confidence in your coaches and the players that's on the field. When you got 2 new linebackers and 2 new safeties, safeties are like the quarterback on defense.
Right.
So if they kind of unsure of what they're doing out there, the defensive coordinator is kind of, holding back on what he can do until they get comfortable out there.
Right. Well, we're not unsure about these phone lines, 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
Yeah, my name is Joe Connor, man. I just want to comment on the game, man. I think Illinois did a good job because you look at all the other big teams, man. Everybody started out with a cupcake. So you got to give them some credit, I think they had the hardest game up last week.
Yeah, they did.
So, for a first game, I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, somebody had to lose.
I think they'll be all right. Like last week, Big Bun said 6 games. I see them winning more than 6 games because they looked pretty good yesterday. The way Juice was throwing and the defense, I think they can win more than 6 games.
Hey, well, first of all,
Bun said last week.
when it comes to Illinois in any sport, don't listen to Big Bun.
Please don't.
Okay?
Hey, he ain't here right now to
Because I
defend
guarantee you
himself.
Illinois is going to win more than 6 games. But don't listen to Big Bun when it comes to any time Illinois sports.
Right.
But good point.
But yeah, man, it's only the first game, man. And they had the hardest team about any team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, they definitely had the hardest matchup last week.
I think they did a good job, even though they ain't win, but they look pretty good, man.
They look good, but don't you agree that if they had to just hit some people in the mouth a few times, that Chase Daniels would have doing them little dump passes or scrambling? Don't you think if they had to a lot of missed tackles was made that game, but don't you think if they had to just hitting people in the mouth and blitz every now and then, don't you think that the game would have been different?
Gave him the quick trigger.
You're right, dog. You're right, man. All right, y'all stay cool, man. And finally, I just want to say right got me in, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Double that up.
Appreciate you calling. Take care. Now, caller says, Big Bun last week gave a prediction. He thought Illinois would go 6-6. Now, he
Buddy didn't even take math, man, in high school.
Well, I say Illinois would go 7-5, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later in the show in terms of what we're going to talk about there. But final thing on the Missouri game, when you look at what happened with Juice Williams, throws for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. When the game started, when the game was in balance in the first and second quarter, he missed Will Judson on wide open play in the flat that basically could have been, a touchdown in that scenario. He threw a slant pass to Relius Bend that I thought he was throwing the ball 150 miles an hour, and he threw it behind him. And it just didn't seem like when the game was in balance, Juice had any rhythm going on. Once the game got out of hand, similar to last year, now it's 31-13 at halftime. He did come out. He did throw for 450 yards. He threw for 5 touchdowns. I'm going to start with you, Wayne, in terms of the question I got. Was it similar to like in a basketball game where there's a blowout and the guy's just throwing up 3-pointers? Or is this the Juice Williams we're going to see for the entire season?
I mean, I don't know. He still was 26 for 42. I mean, how many quarterbacks, come out? For Juice, you got to take it as they come. Juice is normally, 50? Not even 50.
Well, he was 58% last year.
Yeah, okay, 58% last year. But to, what was that, 61% Saturday? 26, 40, you got to take that, man. If it's if they getting blew out or not, you still need him to find his rhythm at some point in the season. If it's in a loss, oh well, you know what I'm saying? Now what he needs to do is carry that over to tomorrow's game and the season beyond, So, I mean, to me, I don't care if they lost or not. If our quarterback can find his rhythm, that's what we need Juice to do. And that way it'll open it up for, our running game.
Right. Dollar, Juice Williams?
Well, first of all, it's just like this, and y'all probably experienced this back in the day. When you're a starting player for any sport, like I say, starting player for basketball, and me myself, I was a superstar. When I get out on that floor, I'm nervous. But when I touch that ball, everything's gone. Now with football, it's a little different because you got to go through the little patterns.
Game.
You got to go through the thing. So it probably took Juice that quarter, that half, to realize that look, man, I got to settle down. And but what really is going to help Juice is once the running game gets together, because I think Illinois needs to get that running game a little bit tighter and a little bit better. But once the running game gets together, Juice is going to come around, man. And believe me, people are talking to him right now after this game like, hey, Juice, you threw for 400+ yards, man. If you just take your time, take a little muscle off that ball, I'm telling you.
I think what happened last Saturday was the best thing that could have happened for Illinois as far as the running game. Because now people seeing that he is capable of passing, now they might not crowd the box as much. And that'll open up the running game for Dufresne and the boys to get loose a little bit. So I still think I take a positive.
Well, that could be a negative and a positive, though. If I'm a defensive coach and if I see this team can't run too good, I'm going to bring the house. Until they prove to me they can run, then I'm going to back people up a little bit.
Well, maybe that's what Missouri was doing, and that's why Juice had 450 yards.
And so believe me.
Every team they play ain't going to be able to outscore 42 points.
Okay.
Yeah, now my question, I'm glad you guys brought up the running game. I mean, where was the running game? I mean, we talk about Juice Williams and the spread offense and how that gives you running lanes and spreads the defense out. But other than one 41-yard run by Dufresne, basically the running game was non-existent. The option didn't work at all. You had Jason Ford and Dufresne who basically did the bulk of the work in terms of
all the carries.
They had all the carries, and then Juice. We accustomed him last year turning the ball upfield when he pulls the ball out of the belly of the halfback, and you didn't really get any long runs from even the quarterback.
I mean, think about the game now. I mean, that to me, like I said, that 450 yards as a result of what Missouri was doing, packing it in. Those touchdowns that Juice threw, there was no safety over the top. So that tells me that they are all in the box trying to contain the run. They came into that game, everybody in the country for 2 years is saying Juice can't pass. So what they did was made Juice pass the ball.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, you also got to look like this. As a running back, okay, as a running back for Division I school, I'm going to say to myself, I'm a running back, and I'm not a starter. I'll say, here's my time to prove myself. Because I believe the Illinois running back is going to be like a Florida State quarterback controversy. You're going to see a lot of carousels in these running backs. If you can't do the job, I'm going to bring in this second string. If you can't do the job, I'm going to bring this third string, and so on and so on. So here's where it's time for the running backs to prove to themselves, look, Mendenhall's gone. I'm going to be the man. I'm going to be the talk of the town. And they got to just man up, man, and just got to do what they got to do.
Well, I look at it from this standpoint. You had true freshman running backs, and the first game they get to play is in a sold-out dome, a professional stadium, in front of a national TV audience. I think it's a little tough for those two to come in too. Daniel Dufresne, I don't know if you can have Daniel run 20 and 25 times a game like Rashard did last year. And the final thing is, as Wayne pointed out, not only did Missouri stack the box to force Juice to throw over the top, but like I said, they were blitzing, so a lot of times plays were blown up before they could even develop. So you got to give Missouri credit for having a good scheme. And as Wayne said, they challenged Illinois and basically said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us over the top.
Right.
Juice was successful in the second half in terms of completing those passes. The thing that I go back to, and Dollar had mentioned, from this point on, now that you know that as a junior quarterback, you're an upperclassman, you got to come right out the box. First play, you got to be hot. You don't have time to wait, go through a quarter or go through a half,
Right.
and then get your rhythm.
Right.
Because by that time, if a team gets the lead on you and now you're throwing over the top, you're going to be playing from behind the rest of the season. So you
Right.
just can't play that way.
And to me, I mean, logically knows Juice. He's been coaching them for 2 years now. Call something a little shorter. You know, throw some dunk passes. Just like a basketball player. If your jumper is off, go to the hole.
But you know, don't get me wrong, they did. But like Joe was saying, Juice was just overpowering his throws, man. But what I was understanding is, what about our local boy? He's a sophomore, Centennial superstar. I don't know what's been going on behind the closed doors. We don't know that. But he was in the game twice and did not get one running play call.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's why, like I said, he's a true freshman coming into a hostile environment and primetime game like that. I don't know if you can take a guy, regardless of how good he was on the high school level, because think about just like what you hear in the pros. When a guy comes in like that, what's the one thing that a pro quarterback would want to throw a running back off the team for?
Right.
You can't pick the blitz up. And Missouri blitzed almost every time Illinois had that football. And if you got a freshman running back there that doesn't pick up that extra blitzer, and Juice would have got hit and got hurt, it wouldn't have been because he wasn't ready to run the football, but understanding the protection scheme. So I think that may have been one of the reasons. But tomorrow they play Eastern,
And you know, it should be a blowout.
and he should get some ample opportunity to run the football, and I think be able to show his time there. Now, before we get off the Illinois game, last thing, we had talked a little bit about this, the defense, 52 points. Now, I know 14 of them were scored on a defensive touchdown and a kick return. But even with that being said, 38 points was given up by the defense that was supposed to be, especially the front four, the strong suit of this team. Where's the beef?
I mean, honestly, it's not like they came in and played against Akron.
Right.
They played against a Heisman candidate, number 6 team in the country, and they averaged 35 to 37 points last year with the same team. So basically, I mean, let's give Missouri credit. I don't think it was all about Illinois' defense. I think people are shortchanging Missouri on how good they are.
I don't think nobody's shortchanging Missouri, just like Joe was saying, is where was the D? I just think it's just like what you just got through saying. The coaches got to have confidence in their linebackers.
But they held on to what? 1 touchdown in the second half? 2?
Yeah, but see, I think
And it's not like Missouri stuffed the ball away and was trying to run the clock out.
Right, but my concern is all the stats that stand out. I think everybody who watches football understands one stat: the team that runs the ball wins the game. They ran for over 200 yards, and this is supposed to be a spread attack where they're really primarily looking to throw the ball. And
Honestly,
Chase Daniels and that running
the best offensive run out of, honestly.
Yeah, but it's the best offense to run out of. But they ran for over 200 yards while he threw for over 300. They gave up almost 600 yards of total offense. I know it's the first game. You know,
Right.
it's a little early and premature
Right.
to pull a fire alarm. But when you go into a game like that, and if you say my defensive line, this is the foundation of our team, and they don't get it done, that kind of sends shockwaves through the rest of the team because they're looking at them like, you guys are the pillar. We need you guys to step up, then we can follow along with you.
But all in all, I think Illinois is going to be fine. I think they're going to make some big upsets in the Big Ten where people think that some people think it may not happen. I think they're going to go to Michigan. I think like I said, there was one caller come in. I think the only problem going to be with Ohio State.
Well, I'm looking here at the schedule right now. You know, tomorrow night, not tomorrow night, but tomorrow morning, they take on Eastern Illinois over at Memorial Stadium. Then they take on Louisiana Lafayette, and then that closes out the non-conference portion of the schedule. And then they get a week off, After that, Illinois goes on the road to Penn State, and then October 4th, they go to the Big House and play Michigan. They come back home for 2 games against Minnesota and Indiana. Then they go to Wisconsin. They get Iowa back here. They get Western Michigan, a non-conference game, here back on November 8th. And then the big one, Ohio State, is on November 15th, and the season closes out at Northwestern. Based on that schedule, give me a record dollar bill.
So, as far as what you said on down to Ohio State, they should run through that until they get to Ohio State. I think that's going to be a game of the week type of game. I think they're going to go through Penn State. I think they're going to,
They in shambles right now.
I just think Illinois is going to surprise a lot of people. I think Zook is got that mastermind of where he's right now at the board right now in his room by himself with his coaches or whatever. Say, hey, look, this is what we got to do, and this is what we're going to do down the line. We're going to run through some people.
Got 11 games left. They lost the first one. Give me a record at the end of the season.
I'm thinking they're going to be at least 3 losses.
So 9-3 for
3 losses.
Illinois, 9-3
at the most.
Big Wayne.
Yeah, we'll go 8-4.
8-4. Well, I'm gonna still stay with
a sneaky game in there is that Indiana game, man. Athletic quarterback, athletes in the backfield, athletes at the receiver.
Well,
Same
hopefully
type
they
of team
learn.
as Missouri.
But hopefully they learn. This is the learning game, though. This is what
hear
I'm
you.
talking about.
I hear
Hopefully
you.
they, okay, look, this is what we got to do.
Well, I said 7-5 last week. I'm not going to change it, but I will say this: that Illinois looked, especially in the second half, a lot better offensively than I thought they'd look. They will win easily against Eastern tomorrow. Tomorrow's a Legends game. They've got all of the top flight players from the past coming back here in the stadium. The stadium has been renovated, so they're going to show that off. So that's going to be an easy victory there. Louisiana Lafayette may not be as easy as a lot of people think when they look at this schedule here, but I still think they'll be able to pull that out.
Athletes.
The issue will be when they go to Happy Valley for that first Big Ten opener against Penn State. Wayne said earlier, Penn State is in shambles right now. Guys were doing some chemistry experiments in their apartment.
Right.
That,
Getting that Nino Brown.
Right. They had some elective classes that they tried to run, and I don't know about that.
But, this Missouri game in the Dome, big crowd, NFL Stadium, first game of the year, that sets the tones for every road game. They've been there, done that from here on out, you know what I mean?
Right.
As far as the big crowds.
Going back to the schedule, Michigan. Now, Michigan lost to Utah. They got a new system, new quarterback. I think they even got a new water bottle boy. Everything's new with Michigan. He's changed everything up.
Right.
He even got rid of the coaches show. They had a coaches show for 33 years. He went in and changed that. So it's going to take Michigan a couple of games even to understand. Now, the key for them in this Illinois game, Michigan plays Miami of Ohio tomorrow, and then they go to Notre Dame. Now, if Michigan goes to Notre Dame and wins that game, it's not about the fact that Notre Dame's any good, but it's the fact that if that system starts to get put in play,
Right.
and then when Illinois goes up there in October, that may be a tougher game than what it looks like right now. When you come back, Minnesota, Indiana, I agree with Wayne. Minnesota, that's a victory. But Indiana, Kellen Lewis continues to play the football he's playing right now. Think back to the turn of the century, Antoine Randall.
Right.
Same type of player.
He might be better.
And see, and when you get a guy like that who can come in and change the face of a game, that's the game that scares you. Then the other one that you need to be concerned about is October 25th, they go to Wisconsin.
Always tough.
Always tough playing up there at Camp Randall Stadium. And then when they come home November 15th and play Ohio State, that might be a game that may be a swing game for the Big Ten championship. So
The Wisconsin game, I can see going to Illinois' favor because that's when that athleticism will be able to, outshine Wisconsin with that, pro-style offense that they run and the big, slow running backs.
right. Well, we're going to go to these phone lines, 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
This is Kurt Davis. I'm calling from Champaign.
What's going on, Kurt?
Not too much. I got a high school score for you.
Go ahead.
Champaign Centennial 7, Decatur MacArthur 14 at halftime.
Wow.
Woo! What's Rice doing? Evidently nothing, huh?
Now, MacArthur actually looks pretty decent this year. I think the Decatur school is actually going to be decent.
Wow, 14-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate you giving us an update. Did you get a chance to check out the Illinois-Missouri game last week, Kurt?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think defense misses up Jenny Lehman. I think if they had him last week, I think it would have been a different game.
That's an excellent point, for
Just a leader, period,
a lot of
yeah.
criticism that Jay got not being the most athletic linebacker. He got it done with heart, spirit, and as Wayne just said, he was a good leader. And maybe they'd have needed some of that leadership last week on the defensive side of the ball.
I think that's the only thing they're lacking. You know the offense is there. That's pretty obvious.
Well, I tell you what, give us an update when that game fires back up over there at Centennial and keep us abreast before we go off the air.
I sure will. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you,
All right.
Kurt.
Thanks.
Yeah, so going back to the Big Ten football, who looks good, who looks bad?
Ohio State don't look as good as everybody put them to be, man. They was kind of shaking and crying about not having Benny Wells. If you're talking about winning a national title this year, if you can't afford, to not have Benny Wells for 2 or 3 games in a non-conference, I don't think you really prepared to go on that road,
Yeah, that's an excellent point because you think about a team like USC who goes
I think
3,
they'll just,
4,
ship somebody right in.
they just throw a jersey on a guy.
Right.
That's how good they are. They'll just put
Yeah.
a jersey on a guy, send him on out on the field, and let him go. Now, the Big Ten, didn't look too well in the fact that Minnesota won at home, but it was Northern Illinois.
A squeaker.
A squeaker. They struggled. Michigan State lost to Cal, but that was on the road.
yeah.
But Cal is a pretty strong team coming out the Pac-10 conference. We talked earlier about the Illinois game, Big Ten against Big 12. Indiana, they won their game. Michigan is Michigan. They lost to Utah. That loss to me is not as shocking as them losing to
No.
Appalachian State last year, but I still think a lot of people expected a little more at home first game, and they just didn't look like, they really understood what they were supposed to be doing out there on the offensive side. And the defense, really, you've got about, I think, 7 starters coming back on the defensive side for Michigan,
Yeah.
and they still didn't do anything. So, all in all, with the Big Ten, I still think right now, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Illinois are the upper echelon in the Big Ten. Coming behind that,
This stuff at Penn State is killing me. They was set to shock some people this
Yeah.
year. But now, I guess they'll be doing a little shocking somewhere else.
I'm just surprised that, Joe Paterno, 81 years old, has been there since he brought the tablets down, and now you got guys, it's almost like they just showing no respect for
What,
him and the program.
I was going to say, not just Paterno, what does that say about his coaching staff? Does he have the coaching staff in place to kind of control these kids? Because it's not always on the head coach,
Right. And you talk about Joe Pa, he's, 81 years old. He might show a lot of energy on the sidelines, but he can't police these guys the way they need to be policed. And if you think about it, back when he first started coaching, he didn't have to.
Right.
This type of stuff, the worst allegation that probably happened when he first started coaching was the guy drank too much beer. But now, with drugs and alcohol and all this other
So you think
stuff.
society is kind of past Joe Pa?
But I just think that's just not Penn State. We have more problems with U of I than just like having Penn State
Yeah.
and Ohio State. It happens in a lot of these Division I schools, man. But you just can't keep an eye on these
It
kids.
just never happened at Penn State.
Right, and I think, I'll actually, let's rewind the tape. We never heard about it happening at Penn State.
Right.
That stuff may have been happening, we
Yeah.
just never heard about it.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what
So
I said
maybe
about
Joe
respect.
Pa ain't got enough pull to keep it under the rug. Maybe it's some people in the program was like, we tired of this dude. Maybe that's their way of pushing them out.
You make an excellent point about pushing him out. If you think about him and Bobby Bowden, two icons in college football, think about some of the issues that have happened over the past few years at Florida State and at Penn State. And it might be, like you said, the athletic department saying,
They can't fire him.
We can't fire him. We'll create so much controversy, they'll just resign.
No, not create it. Just let
Let it
it.
happen. And let it come out.
Let it out.
Right.
Because it's been happening. Just you
think about
let it out.
Last year Florida State went to a bowl game in a Volkswagen because they didn't have enough players
Right.
to go because they had all the guys get in trouble with the online cheating. And then you come back with Penn State, they go into parties with baseball bats and crowbars, clearing the house.
setting up shop at the crib.
There you go. Now they got the discount smoke shop going on over there. So I don't know. It's just programs like that. You would think after all these years, some people would say, let's find a way to gracefully get these coaches out, but they can't do it So they're just going to let him fall on his shield like that. Well, first half of the show is over with. Tell it like it is. Give us a call. 328-8280. Rambo Stack Girl is sitting back there. She's looking kind of tired. She's on first watch. You got to be frosty now. You never know what may come through that door. I know we got Urbana's finest up front, but after that, you the thin blue line. Yeah, okay. That really scared about 3 people out there. And I think you know who they are. Your kids. Going back to football, it's getting ready to kick off. It actually has already kicked off. Last night, the New York Giants, Super Bowl champs.
Man, why dude step on boy head like that, man?
You know, I mean, you talking about Brandon?
Right.
Brandon Jacobson, the Giants 16, Washington Redskins 7. Redskins struggled to get any offense going under Jason Campbell, but the season is now kicked off in the NFL. I'm going to turn to my resident NFL expert. You ain't got to scream, you ain't got to holler. Do you prefer opening day with NFL over Major League Baseball?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Big
is that?
time. Just because, I'm a physical person. Don't get me wrong, I love baseball. But when you can just, when you think of football, you're thinking of having the fellas over, you cooking out, you got the beer on ice, you got the grill going, everything. In baseball, you just don't do that.
Plus, baseball, in April, you got to October. Football, man, it's basically over with in January. You got 16 games and 3-4 playoff games.
Right.
So, when they kick it off Sunday, they mean business. You got all summer to get your stuff together in baseball. You be down 15 games.
That's right. And football is just a family.
2-3 games, you out of there, man.
Just go down Florida Street tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Right.
That's what football does to people. They wake them up, get the food. Everybody's going to shop
You'll never
right
catch
now.
that at a baseball stadium.
Come on, man. You're just going to be.
You'll never catch
on the
that at a
crack.
baseball
Football season is where, like they say, it's where friends meet.
Well, actually, I have to agree with both of you is that Wayne made the point that with football, every week counts.
Right.
I think we've seen it right now in Major League Baseball. 162-game season. It's like a long marathon. The Cubs haven't won a game in a week, and nothing has changed. In the NFL, if you win a couple of weeks like that and lost, you could be
3 games. You lose 3 games in a row in football, you done.
You would be done. So the season is getting ready to kick off, or has kicked off, as I said, on Thursday. And with the season kicking off like that, you would expect, with all the teams in the league that always talk about they need veteran leadership, veteran quarterbacks, et cetera.
I know one right up 57.
Right. A team right up 57. But if you think about it, half the league probably needs a veteran quarterback, whether it be a starter or a backup. And guess who retired yesterday? The man who was on the cover of Madden a couple years ago, the man that used to turn and twist like Wayne is doing, Dante Culpepper, drafted in the first round, I think it was the 11th pick back in '99 by the Minnesota Vikings.
31 years old.
Threw for 1 billion yards up there. Him and Randy Moss had the tragic knee injury back in '05 and then went to the Dolphins in '06 and last year was with the Raiders. And he can't find a job. What's up with that?
That's easy, man. You gotta. Number one is when you're a quarterback, you gotta remember what spoon that fed you. And Randy Moss, believe it or not, he was Culpepper's spoon.
Yeah.
He was Culpepper's spoon. And when they
throwing
fell,
up in the air.
and when they all fell apart, when them two fell apart, and they started, Culpepper started running his mouth about Randy, started bumping it. That's when Randy had to leave, and that's when Culpepper went from here to here. And that's easy.
For one, he probably out of shape, man. If he was in shape, I can't see why. The knee got to be worse than what, the average person like us know. You know what I'm saying? The knee got to be worse. He got to be real bad. He got to be out of shape because if he was in tip-top shape, ain't no way in the world the Bears would keep somebody like Caleb Haney, knowing that there's a Culpepper they can sign probably for the minimum.
And not even the Bears, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, I don't know what's wrong with Bears because I really think Lovie Smith's job is on the line if he doesn't do anything
He's
this
been
year.
set up, man. It's a conspiracy.
I think his job's on the line. But there's other, not just Culpepper. There's quarterbacks out there, man. They could have been and got.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, and because I know you guys want to get to the Bears and they play Sunday night against the Colts, but I'll wrap up on Dante this way. You know why Dante Culpepper is still not on an NFL team? It is because Dante Culpepper decided back about 3 years ago he was going to be his own agent. And in the NFL, it is a cutthroat business. You can't walk into a general manager's office and look him in the face and negotiate a contract and then come back and you're just the quarterback. You're the same person. And I think what happened when he went into Minnesota after he injured his knee in 2005 and tried to negotiate his own contract, Minnesota said, whoa, wait a minute, where did this come from? He was already making $104 million on a 10-year contract he had signed in 2003. Once that happened, word got around the league. He went from Minnesota to Miami. He only played 5 games there before he went out. And then he went to the scrap heap football team of the NFL, the Oakland Raiders. If you can't stay with the Oakland Raiders, with the problems that they got there.
Especially with the style of offense that they run.
Right.
Throw it down the field. That's his game.
That's it.
That's his game.
That's his game. And he couldn't stay with the Oakland Raiders. It goes back to, this is a business decision. Dante decided to be his own agent, and NFL showed him. You're not going to come in here and you're going to negotiate and strong arm that money like that. They've got a system in place. It was almost like he was non-union.
Right. Right.
He was a scab, and they treated him like a scab, and they're not going to let him back in.
And I agree with you. But you also got to realize Dante could have been playing this year. He had 2 teams offer him a backup role, but he didn't want it. He wants a chance to compete for the starting job. But at 31 years old in the NFL, you're an old man.
It's the NFL. A backup, you on a team, you know.
You're a play away from being a starter.
Thank you.
You're like the vice president.
Only person you probably got to be worried about playing behind is Brett Favre. But now, even now, he got to be worried now. Right. He 108 years old.
Well, we're going to see how
Right.
I guarantee you this. Dante will be a backup before the season's end because I'm going to tell you, when you live in that lifestyle, you got to keep that lifestyle. You don't want to come working where I'm working at and think you're going to do what you're doing.
Right.
He will be in the league somewhere as some backup. His wife or kids, look, baby,
grandmama.
Something.
Well, you know what's going to happen. Same thing that happened with Brett Favre. When Brett Favre was down there in Mississippi riding on that four-wheeler and he kept hearing his wife's voice in the distance.
Get your back to work.
That's what Dante hearing right now. That's what he hearing right now. So he's going to get back to work. Speaking of work, Sunday night football kicks off, and the Chicago Bears kick off the season against the Indianapolis Colts. Now the Bears, they had quarterback controversy going on last year. Kyle Orton ended the season. The last 3 games, he was two games with victories. The last one he lost was in the last minute up in Minnesota. Now he comes into camp. He wins the starting job over Rex Grossman. They got rid of Cedric Benson. He's done. He's just like Dante. They probably down there setting up the Bubblegum shrimping boat because they will not be back on the NFL fields. The one thing that you look at going with the Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning hadn't had any preseason games to get out there and test that knee. Had a burster sack earlier. Marvin Harrison's coming back from knee injury from last year.
And busting caps.
Washing cars and busting caps. But now we got Indianapolis Bears Sunday night. Bears, I got 2 Bear fans. They bookends right here. Wayne, I'm coming to you. What do you see coming out this game?
Oh, man. You know what? For the first time in years, it ain't even about the offense. It's about the defense, man. Mm-hmm. Defense played horrible last year. No matter how many injuries our offensive line had last year, this and that, quarterback problems, defense still didn't stop anybody.
Right.
And if they can't stop anybody this year, it's going to be the same thing.
Right.
And as far as Sunday night's game, I don't care who you are, man. If you don't take no hits before the first game of the year, this the NFL, man. They got to knock some of them cobwebs loose in Peyton Manning.
Right.
That's the only way they're going to beat him. Get to him early. So if they can put some pressure on them, I think they have a shot at winning this game.
What do you think, Dollar?
Well, number one is, I hear what you're saying, right? Defense is going to win that game. If anything, wins that game for Chicago.
Right.
But Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. He knows what a hit's like. He knows, he knows what a rush is like. He knows what a blitz like. He knows when they're coming from the left. He knows when they're coming from the right. It's all up to defense to contain. If they stop that 29 running that ball in the backfield, then they can stop Peyton Manning because it all starts with a dot. If they can stop a dot from running that ball, I think Chicago is because I know and I think they made a good choice to give Orton a starting job.
Oh yeah,
I think they made a good choice.
2 years too late, man.
But this is Lovely's last year, do or die.
This is a conspiracy, man.
Well, I think my comment on it, not being a Bear fan or a Colt fan, I agree with Wayne. Peyton Manning will be a little rusty. His timing won't be there. with his receivers. But, you know, as Dollar said, he's still Peyton Manning, top 3 quarterback in all the NFL. I think the other thing, the Bears are coming in just similar to Michigan in the fact it's not a new system, but you got a new quarterback, you got a rookie tailback in Matt Forte.
But it is an
He's
upgrade.
got fresh legs. He'll be on a track that he's accustomed to when he ran down there in Tulane. But they're playing against the Indianapolis Colts, prime time. See how he reacts. The other problem I think with the Bears, Wayne pointed out the defense. I pointed out when Tommy Harris tore his hamstring, the hamstring came off the bone. And because of that, he had to have it surgically repaired. Tommy Harris still may not be 100%. He may be 90%, which is better than most tackles in the NFL. But if that split second or even that fraction of a second that he used to get in terms of attacking the running back and the quarterback is gone, that's the difference between Tommy Harris disrupting the play and that guy going the distance. So with that being said, it'll be a defensive struggle early because I think it'll take Peyton Manning a little while to get his rhythm. But after that, I think Joseph Adai wears down the Bears defense. I don't think the Bears have enough firepower, especially at the receiver position. Marty Booker's 78, and Brandon Lloyd ain't caught a pass since he was with San Francisco. So with that being said, I'm going with the Colts on that.
And don't forget about the free safety for Chicago, accident-prone Brown.
He's going to get hurt in the locker room.
You know, so
Yeah, he gonna be calisthenics.
I mean, he got to stay healthy. He reminds me of Mark Pryor for Chicago Cubs. You know, if you can't, I mean, I think if he gets hurt early this year, they need to make a move.
Right.
Yeah, he should have a coaching shirt on.
Well,
You
he
know, the
will.
same one Lovey wear.
Right.
You know, defensive backs coach or something.
Yeah, well, I think he
Maybe he
will.
can take over coordinator because that coordinator they got garbage.
Well, that's Lovey's boy, though. So.
He garbage.
So speaking of garbage, there's some garbage games to kick off the first week. For example, Detroit, Atlanta. So we're not going to talk about that.
ATL, I'll take ATL.
You're going to take
I'm
it.
taking Detroit.
I'll take ATL.
I'm taking
man.
Detroit.
Matt Flynn, you know, first game. Better than what people think, man.
Yeah, but
Detroit is Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit is Detroit. Yo, when you got two
Michael
bad,
Turner.
when you got two bad teams, you always take the home team. That's always been my
ATL.
rule. ATL. Buffalo, they get Seattle coming in. Now Seattle lost Sean Alexander. They cut him loose. They replaced him with Julius Jones. Buffalo, you're looking for Marshawn Lynch in his second year.
Bills. I'm gonna go Bills.
Bills,
Well, I'm gonna go with
Bills at
Seattle.
home.
I'm gonna go
Bills
with
at
Seattle.
home.
you going with Seattle?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Seattle.
So Dollar's going with Seattle. Wayne's going with Buffalo. I got to agree with you, Wayne. I'm going to go with Buffalo on that one. Cincinnati, Chad Ochocinco. Legally changed his name.
Lamar Ochocinco.
Lamar Chad Ochocinco. So Ochocinco will be on the back of his jersey. They take on Baltimore. Now, Baltimore, the issue that Baltimore's had since what? It became Baltimore again? Quarterback.
I'm gonna go with Baltimore, man.
You still go with Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
the rookie starting out of Delaware.
And Joe Flacco looked pretty good too. And you know, I'm gonna go Baltimore just because of the fact I think Chad Johnson makes the game too much of himself instead of the team. You know,
He's
I
not
think-
healthy either.
You know, not only that, man, he tries to bring the game just to himself instead of, you know, it's about Cincinnati Bengals. But I'm gonna go with Baltimore.
No
and-
running game.
Well, I was just
For
going to
Cincinnati.
mention, you just hit the nail on the head. Willie Anderson got cut, and guess who he plays for now? Baltimore Ravens. Right tackle for 11 years
Right.
with Cincinnati Bengals. Rudy Johnson, he's gone. He's with the Detroit Lions now. Look for Chris Perry and whoever can replace him. Chris Perry is a Michigan running back. Michigan running backs are like Florida wide receivers when they get to the NFL. No
What?
good. Period.
Right.
I'm going to have to roll with y'all on this one again and go with Baltimore. St. Louis goes to Philadelphia. Now you got Donovan McNabb. He says he's healthy now. Brian Westbrook supposed to be healthy.
Workhorse.
You know, this is, Philadelphia, that same song for the past 2-3 years. St. Louis, Steven Jackson held out for a month. Now he got his big contract. St. Louis and Philly.
I'll still say Philadelphia
Philly.
Eagles. I still say Philadelphia Eagles is the hardest hitting team in the NFL.
And they made an upgrade
And
on
I
defense.
don't care. Every year, that's the hardest hitting defense in the NFL every single year. And I'm going Philly. They just hit you and they don't care. They're talking about your mama while they hit you, and they hit hard, man.
Who you going with, Wayne?
I'm going with Philly. I gotta
Philly.
go with Philly.
Houston at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has Rashard Mendenhall. Rashard Mendenhall ran the ball good during the preseason, except for one thing.
Keeping it
He
on
didn't
point.
have the ball that much. He was putting it on the carpet. He was dropping it just like an old man with a hole in his pocket and his change falling out. Pittsburgh, they've
Still
got
tough.
still
They
got
still
Russell,
tough.
they still got Willie Parker. They still got that hard hitting defense. And Omar Epps, their coach, Juice. What do you think, Dollar? Houston, Pittsburgh?
I'm about to go with double A's people, man.
Santonio Holmes, man, watch out for him this year.
Lyman Swedes, Santonio
Yeah.
Holmes. Looks like
Got the old man Hines Ward still.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Tennessee. Jacksonville is a sexy choice to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. David Garrard, his second year under center. Fred Taylor, he went down to Miami. What is it about South Beach and football players?
Hey, man, they at home, man.
Right, but then they go down there and they start beating folks up, disorderly conduct, pistol whipping folks.
People ought
All
to leave him alone.
stay away from South Beach. That ain't the folks leaving alone. Stay away from South Beach. They take on Tennessee. Vince Young. Everybody criticized Vince Young because he only threw for about 70 yards.
He ain't got nobody to talk to.
Right, but he wins.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
He wins.
He will win.
And that's what I was just going to. You keep it close with Tennessee,
He'll beat
you're
you.
going to lose.
He'll beat you in the end.
So
They better blow him out.
Jacksonville better come out early because
They
if the
better
game
blow him
close,
out.
Tennessee.
And it's at Tennessee, right?
I'm
I
taking
think,
Tennessee.
And I'm taking Tennessee, too. I think Jacksonville got the two best running backs in the league.
I'm gonna take Jacksonville.
NFC South, Tampa Bay takes on New Orleans. Tampa Bay got 17 quarterbacks and nobody to throw it to. New Orleans, on the other hand, picked up Jeremy Shockey in the offseason. I expect Drew Brees, number one, because he's my fantasy quarterback. But number two, I think after the way he started the season last year with the expectations from the year prior, I think he's going to bounce back and have a great start to the season. I'm going with New Orleans all over Tampa Bay.
I agree.
New Orleans quick. Kansas City at New England. Kansas City is coming in. They stink. Let's just make it simple. They stink. New England, after losing the Super Bowl in a perfect season, Tom Brady's been
Can you
holding
name one player on their defense?
on Kansas City. Herm Edwards.
Oh, he scored a touchdown back in '81. wasn't
Right.
he? He's done.
Well, while y'all laughing, I'm still going with Kansas City. They still professional athletes. And just like y'all talking about Peyton Manning, Brady got to take some pops too. And we saw what he did in the Super Bowl game last year when the Giants popped him. So I'm
England
going with the upset of the week. The upset of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs over the New England Patriots.
I will say this
Hey, what's
right
your-
now. Wait a minute. The same way Dick Vitale said it back with Illinois and Austin Peay. Next week on this show, I will stand on this desk on my head. If Kansas City goes to New England week 1 and beats
Just watch
the
it.
New England Patriots,
How the heck you gonna do that?
you got to hold
I'm
my leg.
gonna get in a chair and hold your leg.
Right, and Buddy gonna have to
No,
hold
we
the
just gonna
other
stick
side.
some. He ain't got to sit on his head. We just gonna put some underwear over his head, and you got to talk the whole show with some drawers over his head.
We ain't
That's
going
just
that
like
far.
sitting on your head.
Because I'm a professional.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Kansas City over the Pates, over the Pats.
Yeah.
They over with.
You better scream and you better holler. Now, Carolina at San Diego. San Diego is actually my team coming out of AFC for the Super Bowl this year. I think that LT's got a lot to prove with
How
what
healthy
happened to
are
him.
they?
How healthy are they? Phillip Rivers, you know his knee problems that happened and the surgery
Toegate.
got.
Got Toegate.
You got Toegate. You got his problems. Sean Merriman,
What do we?
you know, he took a couple supplements and now he's
HGH.
fine.
Yeah, he good.
You know, and HGH doesn't stand for hams, grits, and hash. There's some other stuff that he took. You know, so
Right.
San Diego, Carolina, Jake Malone got his elbow fixed. First quarterback to have Tommy John surgery.
No Steve Smith though.
Right. For beating up his teammate. He's out for 2 games. At San Diego, game opening, I'm going with San Diego.
Yeah, got to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to Chargers.
Yeah.
Dallas at Cleveland. Now, this is my upset special. Cleveland's 10-6, and it may not really be an upset.
Right.
Even though they didn't make it to the playoffs, they were a good team last year. Derek Anderson will be the quarterback. Brady Quinn will still be back there taking his supplements and wearing tight shirts and
But
not
you know
getting on
what?
the field.
Cleveland had just as many playoffs wins as Dallas had last year.
0. Excellent point, Big Wayne.
That's
why
all I'm saying.
I'm going with Cleveland.
Well,
Adam Jones, he'll get to play, but, you know, mama, put your daughters in the house when it comes to town, especially when he got them 2 briefcases out.
I'm going with Dallas. I still the best 2 receivers in the league, and they keep their mouth shut and they play ball, whether you like him or love him. T.O.'s going to do his thing. Him and Randy Moss is the best receivers in the league. So they don't, you can talk about them, but they're the quietest cats in the league, and they come out and do their job. They don't get on the ESPN. I'm changing my name to T.O. Meister or whatever.
Let me steal this from you. I concur.
You know, so I think Dallas is gonna go ahead and do what they do.
Last 2 games on Sunday, the New York Jets go to Miami. Brett Favre will take his new green and number 4 down to South Beach. Now, he won't go down there like Fred Taylor and Brian McKinney, but he's going down there with a whole new system, a whole new team. He's got Thomas Jones as running back. He doesn't have Ryan Grant. that means one thing. He's got to throw the ball more than he's accustomed to. And when Brett Favre gets to sling the ball around, what happens? Bad things.
INTs.
Right. You know, everybody thought, oh, Brett was good. Brett was good. That was Brett Favre last year with Ryan Grant, the good Green Bay team. This is with the Jets. Jets weren't that good last year.
I'm still going with the Jets.
And I'm going
After all
with
they said.
After all, Jets when they could last year. So what you think Miami was with one win?
Horrible.
Right.
But I do think because I think Brett Favre is going to have the Juice Williams syndrome. He's going to be a little nervous because he's in a new city, doing different things. That first quarter, he's going to be a little nervous. He might throw one interception, but I think after that, Brett Favre is going to settle down and he's going to just go to work.
Shred them apart.
Yep.
This last game on Sunday, Arizona against San Francisco, I call this the Enron game because Matt Leinart and Alex Smith, if they were CEOs, they'd be in jail for the way they're stealing money from the NFL. 2 first-round picks, and they can't get on the field. Matt Leinart can't get on the field. You got an old grocery bagger, Kurt Warner. He still wears gloves, and he's quarterbacking. And then for San Francisco, you got J.T. O'Sullivan. J.T. O'Sullivan couldn't beat out Orton and Grossman.
He's been on what, 17?
He's been on 7 teams in 7 years. And now he's starting over $50 million first-round pick in Alex Smith. That's got to be.
Well, he learned a lot from them 17s, man. Dang.
He learned how to get cut and travel.
He learned a lot.
That's
You
what he
know, he
learned.
picked up a little something from everywhere. You know,
And
don't
he
you learn
learned how to
everywhere
pack
you go?
his bags.
Don't you learn something everywhere you go, man?
I don't go
But let
places.
me ask y'all this: who's your sleeper team this year in the NFL? Who's your sleeper team? Mine is no doubt. I think it's going to shock people. Oakland Raiders is going to be some headbangers.
Okay, well, speaking of Oakland, they play Denver Monday night in Oakland. McFadden,
I'm going with Oakland, man. I'm tired.
You go with
of
Oakland?
I'm tired of Shanahan, man.
Jay Cutler, and
I'm tired of
Shanahan,
that. I'm tired of
running
that
back.
crap.
And the final game, which I think is probably the most intriguing game, not the biggest game, the most intriguing game.
Dog, well,
Brett
well,
Favre era is over. Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau Field. First time that Green Bay has had a different starting quarterback since 1992.
Dang.
16, can you believe that?
Man,
19.
I was still in high school.
I was.
You look pretty young now. I thought you were still in high school.
What were you doing
You
in
still look
92?
young, man.
What was you doing in 92, man?
Uh,
Okay, when you got to go, then that means you. Green Bay,
Can't
even though
remember.
Brett Favre is gone, they're still a pretty good team that they got there.
Yeah.
They taking on Minnesota. Now, Minnesota went out and got Jared Allen in the offseason to improve their defensive line, especially their pass rush. They was last in the league against the pass, but that was because that's kind of misleading. Nobody can run the ball on them, so all
Right.
they did was just throw. Tavares Jackson hurt his knee in the in the preseason, but he says he's going to be ready to go. It's like having $1 million Formula One race car and letting me drive it. Make sure it's before the sun goes down.
Right.
Tavares Jackson, can he drive and steer this machine on into being a playoff contender going against
But
Green
they
Bay?
got the perfect thing for him. I mean, they got AD.
But
Oh,
still, he had 80 last year. But Tavares Jackson, you can talk about Brett Favre, but he'll throw interceptions, just.
But at the same time, he still was a young quarterback, man. You got to,
Okay, but we can't. Sometimes you can't leave the age out of it, man.
why not?
You got to go.
It's called maturation, man.
When they put you behind.
It's called
that-
maturation, man.
Okay, when they put you behind that man. When
Peyton
they put
Manning didn't win his Super Bowl until what, 8th year, 9th year?
you, okay, well.
And it took Eli. Now, Eli was the first overall pick. Was in 2004. So it took Eli Manning 4 or 5 years just to get to where he was at, and it still was because of the defense.
Exactly.
It wasn't Eli Manning carrying the Giants; it was that defense. And
He
so
was on a veteran team.
Well, that's
you-
any Super Bowl team, though.
Right.
Defense.
And so that's why I think what I'm hearing from Wayne is that Jackson last year was his first year starting. He got to go the whole season. He had the same record as Vince Young in the 12 games he started. It was 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
So he wins when he's on the field.
Okay, so what's his going to be excuse this year? You can't use the rookie status no
No,
more, then, right?
I don't think. But here's the thing: there's
Okay.
no excuse for him.
Okay.
The man was a winner, 8-4 last year.
Okay.
You know, you got to say for a first-year starter, that's a pretty good record. Going into this year, Wayne said,
You got a little
Adrian
better
Peterson,
receiving core now.
You got Bernard Barron there. Sidney Rice got another year under his belt. Robert Ferguson from Green Bay. You know, Bobby Wade from Tennessee.
Yeah, he got some people though too.
With all that being said, Lambeau Field, first game of the season. I think there's going to be more pressure on Aaron Rodgers than Tavares
Yeah.
Jackson.
Oh yeah.
The
big
most
time.
important part of, you didn't even speak on the best part of y'all team. Nobody has an offensive line that can even compare to y'all.
Yeah. But
And,
Brian McKinney, here's the key on that, though. Brian McKinney, he was a South Beach wonder. And I'm not talking about weight loss. He went down
Right.
there like Fred Taylor. Now he's got a 4-game suspension. Stay away from South Beach. With that being said, I'm
Still
going with
got
Vikings.
3 All-Pros on y'all line.
That's true. Batbert, Hutchinson, Hicks,
Right.
Tate. I'm going with the Vikings. Now, we got about 3 minutes left in the show. We haven't had an opportunity to talk too much about this, and I didn't really want to talk about this tonight because it makes me nervous. The Cubs, when we came in here tonight, we're losing 5-0. If they lose, that means it'll be 6 in a row. Is it just a bump in the road, or are we witnessing a September slide? By
They
the Chicago
resting,
Cubs?
man. They resting.
Are they resting?
Yeah, they resting.
Please say they resting.
I hope that's what they doing.
They better be resting.
And it's, I'm not gonna say it's good for them to lose 5 or 6 games in a row.
I agree with you,
But
man.
what
I
I'm
already know
saying
what you
is,
gonna say.
it's best to go ahead and get them out your way now.
Thank you,
Because
Dollar.
when it comes
Thank
to the playoff time, you can't lose.
No.
It's time to
Because
go
they went
to work.
in last year kind of hot, and the Diamondbacks put that cold bucket of water on them.
And doused them. I think right now what's happening is that, as I said at the beginning, 162 games is a long
They
period of
tired.
time. They just hit their slump at this point in the season.
They haven't slumped all year.
Right. So this is the first time. The key for me is the pitching staff. Sombrano had his MRI, and he's got tendonitis in his shoulder. He's going to have to sit for a couple of weeks. Are we seeing Zambrano go the way of Kerry Woods? Is he gone?
No.
Or is it just, a minor injury that just needs some time to heal and let him rest up and get ready for the postseason?
Yeah, man, Zambrano's a horse. A few days off, I think he'll be back to form. Kerry Wood, I don't know what to say about that. But.
Now, Chicago White Sox on the south side, you've got Carlos Quentin, who just found out he's going to have surgery on Monday to repair a broken wrist that suffered from getting hit by a pitch the other day.
Joe Creedy gone.
Are we seeing the Sox have the same problems as the Cubs?
Yeah, because there's the problem. The difference between their problem, the teams is their injuries are everyday players.
Right.
When you losing the guy with the most RBIs on the team, your best third baseman, them 2 spots that's hard to fill.
And then Contreras, you lost him to a ruptured Achilles earlier
Right.
this season. Not that he was the ace of the staff, but he was a veteran that could give you
Got a lot
5,
of
6
playoff
strong-
games under his belt.
That's it. And can give you 5, 6 strong innings before you had to go to your bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the final thing on the White Sox, they only got a 1.5 cushion.
Right.
Minnesota's hot on their heels. The Cubs, they still had a 5-game cushion with all these being said and the problems they got. And the Cubs, here's the thing for them. Even if they just lost out for the rest of the season, they still
gonna
make the
the
playoffs.
wild card.
There you go. They still make it in. So I'm not really too concerned about what's happening with them, but I would like them within the last week
Win
of the
a game.
season, win a couple games, get this thing going back.
Yeah.
Well, before we get off the air, one thing I want to say is that all the support that we get throughout the community, we couldn't do this without you guys. And because of the support you've given us, we were able to have this show picked up by WCFN Channel 3. Some people may have seen the commercials running today. And so because of that, Sunday at 6 o'clock will be our inaugural show on WCFN. So I want to say thank you to everybody out there in the community.
Channel
who support us.
49.
Channel 49 if you're on DirecTV, Channel 3 on Comcast Cable. But you'll see myself, Big Wayne, Dollar Bill, Bun, the whole 9. So we want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart. Stat Girl, Rambo Girl, appreciate you sitting in tonight. UPTV Channel 6, tell it like it is. Go Colts, go Giants, go Broncos. We'll see you.